Hey, this is season 3, eh? You guys know. The no fans that I have. Subscribers, a lot, but not a lot of views for these subscribers. And I don't know if YouTube has fixed the ad issue, and usually they'd pop up on my songs more, right? Because of copyright that is allowed, because I don't monetize, but they do. They're using me to monetize. I'm performing a karaoke track where all the rights were sold already, and because I'm posting it online, if they could come make a profit at karaoke in some way, like off the 7-Up and Cranberry that order, they'd get their cut out of that too. And it's usually not even the people that had the talent that wrote the songs, right, that get the money. So I'm at a Tim Horton here to do homework, and I'm pushing my homework as, I gotta go to the bathroom soon. I saw a guy going in the bathroom. There's only one toilet seat in the men's bathroom here, and he went in. There's a lot of homeless or drug addict or mentally ill people, and ironically, right across the street from the Tim Horton is a gigantic building with this sign on it. Ironically, there's so many people that get paid to, in their beliefs, to save the world with as little effort possible to get their paychecks, right? The Canadian Mental Health Association, I've done research on them years ago. There's no way I believe that they will stop from, the difference between a carbon sink and does it create more mental illness or does it resolve more mental illness? And psychiatrists can be, if you do an impartial investigation, seen to create more, and so does the Mental Health Association of Canada create more. Speaking of Canada, I just got an email for, again, mass hiring for employment and education in the north of Canada. I don't know if it's the same organization as before, where they're really defeating themselves because they require certified teachers from Canada, and if it's not from Canada, there's a lot of complications to get the job. So it'd be like taken away from other places that are also in need in Canada, instead of just saying, hey, we'll take people that will go through a probation period and be evaluated and have different kind of training. Like me, because I want to be evaluated transparently, publicly, videotape it, please, and make your feedback to me transparent too, so we can see who's silly and who knows their stuff or not. So I sent an email where I say, here's the 3 applications I succeeded in loading on your site, because there was issues loading them and it doesn't explain why. So that's the 3 ended up with. But then I write my copy and paste definition of learning specialist in the message part. Of course, I take screenshots of these. And I say, please, with your reply, do not send a generic response to this unique message of mine, right? And usually people in education are automatons, that they're domesticates, so it is generic replies, right? And even if, let's say, they hire positions without a teacher certificate, their reply will be like, oh, we don't know what to do with this guy. He seems to be able to express himself using language that is the official language in Canada, and we don't know, because it's so outside of the norm, we don't know what to say. So we're going to say, oh, maybe apply for this one in this place, which is the path of least resistance for these domesticates, which proves, again, that they're missing the point. Here's who I am. Check out that definition of learning specialist. It is guaranteed. So please, show respect when you reply. Not just to me, but to yourselves and to the populations you serve. So, my worldview is ecocentric, and the last vlog is coming up, and I thought maybe I'll just sing a song, or I got to finish the readings I didn't do. There's a lot of it, actually. And, maybe I'll skip the reading that is the longest document that I'm very proud of, which will be way over your heads anyways. So I'll just finish the thesis draft, leftover notes. I'll just finish the appendix. There's a few left for the letter where I fired my master's degree faculty for pretending to know what sustainability is. There's, I already read the letter I sent to BC Ministry of Advanced Education back then. And I'll read maybe just the abstract of this article, which is my Time Capsule 2.6 from more than 5 years ago now. Well, the 2.0 is anyways. You know, close to 5 years for the 2.6. And that'll be it. Maybe I'll sing that song, you know, a cappella somewhere in a beautiful outdoor scenery, and that'll be it. You're on your own. You know, I'm shutting down a lot more of my videos online, and it's a long-term strategy. And anyways, so I wanted to say that one of the other jobs I'm applying for, and I'm kind of in between here because I still got to do research and contact people, is with the Canadian Armed Forces. It's sad that I'd have to do the basic training again, that I did just the basic training for a few months part-time in my early 20s. But I would want, you know, it'd be easier for me to do anyways now than it was back then, because I'm a different person with a more disciplined brain and a lot more, you know, skill sets and human thinking tools that would make it less traumatic for me than back then. I was also going through a broken heart back then, which was a little bit why I did it, just to kind of distract me from this broken heart. I'm such a romantic son of a gun. And that's a big part of love, is always romantic relationships, always been a big part of my motivations. And it is for most people. I just, you know, I'm more clear about it and explain how it charts my life a bit more than the average person can. So let's say I get to the point where, you know, in an interview they would say, do you have one last question, because, you know, we think we'll be offering you one of these positions in the Canadian Armed Forces. Is I would say, well, can you, and you can take the time, you don't have to answer this now, I don't think you know, or I don't think you know how you should answer without consulting with the supervisors or uplinks or whatever you call them again, is what was the awareness that the Canadian government or Canadian military had of, you know, the USA blowing up the pipeline, you know, because we are a NATO ally and all this. Because if they knew, and they kind of didn't want to go against the USA doing it either voluntarily, you know, by pressing the button themselves when it happened, or, you know, as an intention when they set up the explosives, is you know, that's not a government I could trust. Again, I already know trusting any government is risky during this time of the Anthropocene. But, you know, but I'm also ecocentric in my worldview, people. So to actually be, whether it's politically good or bad for this country, or will end up in future history, you know, having done more good than harm in your anthropocentric way to see things, as if you are the world, is just, it was bad for the environment. And it was bad for sea life, and it's just a stupid thing to do. It really shows how far and incapable you are of ever saving yourselves and ending the destruction of the biosphere as you keep destroying yourselves along with it. So I would, you know, I'd have to refuse if they say, well, we can't divulge that information, but, you know, they might say all NATO countries are aligned in their strategies, and if they say that, doesn't mean it's true they knew the USA was doing this, because the USA does a lot of things that they don't tell their allies. You know, it's historically accurate to say this, and somehow, you know, they'll keep hiring politicians or press release people that'll say the opposite, although the history is there. It's like they're challenging all of history now. You know, that is, you know, a fact. And so that's pretty sad. But then, even if they don't have the exact answer, but they say, you know, they stand by all their NATO allies, then I'd have to refuse. So again, I'd be poor. And it's like, I'm not like in Europe, that's not a stop sign, dude. That's not a stop at all. Anyways, that is a stop sign. It's a four-way stop. So when I'd be working for an employer like this, for what? For having a little pension, for having something to do, for having some challenges, for having a bit more comfort in the sense of not freezing, is no, I'd prefer freezing. People say, damn it, I talked to this landlord today, and she's again saying, oh, she'll give me all these things that for the unit to help me. She even has a bed to frame. You know, I have no clue what the bed is like, and she's saying, you know, the neighbors are great, but she doesn't say how she'd enforce. She says, oh, I'd rather not take your money for the motorhome parked there because I want to follow only this act, not that act. You know, it really shows how she doesn't give a damn about another human being. And this is what the culture I'd be fighting for, that I've documented so long, that has so little care and concern for themselves and others. And I'm not saying we're the only ones, and we're definitely not the worst ones. And the USA is worse at having no care and concern for other nations, for example. Like right now, Europe is experiencing very high prices to stay warm, or they are unable to. Is that a cop or what? A guy who looks like a cop in that black truck. So I don't know if he thinks he's allowed to blow stop signs because he's a cop in that phantom truck. Anyways, I think I want to go look him up to see if he is. And so it's not okay, people, for me to be told, oh, you should totally take it. You're cold. Yes. But I'm also human. That's the difference between you and me. I am the Homo sapien living among a failed primate species I share DNA with called the Homo communia, the common man, woman, people primate under the human slash, genus of Homo during this current epoch, okay? And I know the difference between right and wrong, and I knew since I was a kid, other kids are doing the wrong thing, or adults are doing the wrong thing, and it's been obvious to me, and I won't sell that humanity away. So I'm not protecting a bank account. I'm not protecting assets. I'm protecting my humanity from your attempts to lower my standards so you can feel better about yourselves and make me more like you. No, I worked really hard to be human, and that's what my DNA had intended for me to be, whether you believe it's from a creator or from evolution. So I'm very proud of who I am, and I will endure more hardships, and there's some more serious cold coming in the rest of February. And I may or may not be able to get heat. But the thing is I won't be able to live with myself if I take the path of least resistance and become one of you by doing something that is against what I believe in or stand for and have been standing for so long. Plus, I'm not as scared of my mortality as you are because I've matured as a human being.